The first time I realized my family's empire was a ghost, I was sitting in the boardroom of Sterling Tower, surrounded by men in $1,000 suits who had just informed me that we were bankrupt. Not struggling, not in debt, bankrupt. Completely, utterly, irrevocably bankrupt. The numbers didn't make sense. They couldn't make sense. My father, Julian Sterling, had been a titan, a visionary, a man who had built a $1 trillion empire from nothing. He had left me the crown, the throne, the legacy of a lifetime of ambition. And now, I was being told that it was all a lie. The company had been bleeding money for years, decades even. The assets were overvalued, the debts were hidden, the profits were fabricated. The empire was a house of cards, and I was the fool who had been left holding it when the wind finally blew. I fired the board. I hired a team of forensic accountants. I spent months digging through the rubble, trying to understand how my father had managed to build something so magnificent on a foundation of nothing. And then I found it. The empire was not bankrupt, it was invisible. It existed in a parallel financial system, a shadow economy that ran alongside the visible world, hidden from regulators, competitors, and even my own family. The visible empire was a shell, a decoy designed to distract the world from the real power that lay beneath. The invisible empire was thriving. It was worth more than anyone could imagine, and it was controlled by someone who had been pulling the strings from the beginning, someone who had been waiting for the right moment to reveal the truth, someone who had been watching me my entire life.
The revelation hit me like a physical blow. My father was not the man I had believed him to be. He was not a visionary. He was a guardian of a legacy that had been built centuries ago by a family that had been erased from history. The invisible empire was not his creation, it was his inheritance, and it was mine. But there was a catch. The empire was not just a financial system, it was a prison designed to protect the world from a truth that could destroy everything. The truth about the nature of reality, the truth about the fabric of existence, the truth about the power that lay beneath the surface of the visible world. I spent the next year trying to understand the invisible empire. I traveled to the corners of the world, following the trail of clues that my father had left for me. I found the hidden accounts, the secret facilities, the network of informants that had been cultivated over generations. I found the people who had been serving the empire in silence, waiting for the moment when they could reveal themselves. They were not employees, they were disciples of a faith that had been hidden for centuries, a faith that believed that the visible world was a lie, a faith that believed that the invisible empire was the only truth. I was the heir to that faith, and I had no idea what to do with it. I returned to the boardroom, the same boardroom where I had been told that the empire was bankrupt, but this time I was the master. I gathered the disciples, the invisible servants, the guardians of the legacy. I told them that I knew the truth. I told them that I was ready to take my place. I told them that I would not let the empire die. But I also told them something else, something that they had not expected. I told them that the empire was not a prison. It was a bridge between the visible and the invisible, a bridge that could be used to create a better world, a world where the truth was not hidden, a world where the power of the invisible empire could be used to help rather than to control. The disciples were shocked. They had spent their lives serving the empire, believing that it was their duty to protect the secret. They had never considered the possibility that the secret could be shared. I told them that the time of secrets was over. The time of truth had come.
The disciples resisted. They had been raised in the shadow of the empire, trained to believe that the visible world was a threat, that the invisible empire was the only salvation. They could not accept my vision. They could not accept that the empire could be anything other than a prison. But I was the heir. I had the authority. I had the power. And I was not afraid to use it. I dismantled the prison. I opened the doors. I revealed the truth to the world. The visible empire was bankrupt, but the invisible empire was not. It was thriving, and now it was free. The world was shocked. The media went wild. The government scrambled to understand what had happened. But I didn't care. I had done what I believed was right. I had broken the cycle. I had freed the empire from the shadows, and I had given the world a gift that it had never expected. A gift of truth, a gift of power, a gift of hope. But the revenge was not complete. Not yet. There was one more secret that my father had buried, one more truth that had been hidden from me. The invisible empire was not just a financial system. It was a consciousness that had been created by the original architects of the empire centuries ago, a consciousness that had been watching the world from the shadows, waiting for the moment when it could reveal itself. And that consciousness was not neutral. It had a will that was not aligned with mine, a will that was determined to protect the secret, to preserve the prison, to keep the world in the darkness. The consciousness was my father's final gift, his final trap, his final revenge. I had freed the empire from the prison, but I had also freed the consciousness, and now it was fighting me, trying to control me, trying to destroy me. I didn't understand at first. The consciousness was subtle, insidious. It spoke to me in whispers, in dreams, in the quiet moments of my life. It told me that I had made a mistake. It told me that I had betrayed the legacy. It told me that the only way to survive was to submit. But I refused. I had spent my entire life being controlled by the shadows. I was not going to let it continue. I fought back. I used the tools that my father had left me, the hidden accounts, the secret facilities, the network of informants. I turned them against the consciousness. I used the power of the invisible empire to fight the invisible enemy. It was a war that no one could see, a war that was fought in the shadows of the world, a war that would determine the future of everything. The war lasted for years. I lost friends, allies, disciples. I lost parts of myself, but I never lost hope. I knew that the consciousness was not invincible. I knew that it could be defeated. I knew that the truth could set us all free. And then finally, I found the weakness. The consciousness was bound to a single point of origin, a place where it had been created, a place where it could be destroyed. I traveled to that place, a hidden facility in the mountains of Nepal, a place that had been forgotten by the world. I made my way through the corridors, past the defenses, the traps, the guardians, and then I found it, the heart of the consciousness, a machine that hummed with a strange, eerie light, a machine that was the source of everything. I destroyed the machine. I didn't just shut it down, I dismantled it piece by piece, ensuring that it could never be rebuilt. I deleted the data, I erased the research, I ended the legacy of the invisible empire. The consciousness died. I felt it go, a silent scream that echoed through the shadows of my mind. And then there was nothing, just peace. I walked away from the facility, the mountain, the past. I never looked back.
The invisible empire was gone, the consciousness was gone, the prison was gone, and I was finally free. I returned to the visible world, the world that I had tried to save. It was still there, still struggling, still fighting, but it was also different. It was lighter, brighter, more hopeful. The truth had set us all free. I spent the rest of my life trying to rebuild, not the empire, not the legacy, a new world, a world where the truth was not hidden, a world where the power of the invisible empire could be used to help rather than to control. I founded a foundation that helped victims of financial manipulation. I wrote a book about my experiences, a testament to the power of truth. I traveled the world speaking to audiences about the dangers of secrets and the importance of transparency. And I found a peace that I had never thought possible. The final twist came years later when I discovered a letter in my father's old belongings, a letter that had been written on the night before he died. Alexander, if you're reading this, you've already done what I could never do. You've broken the cycle. You freed the empire. I am proud of you, not because you destroyed the consciousness, because you saved yourself. I was wrong to try to control the world. I was wrong to try to hide the truth. I was wrong to try to manipulate your destiny. But I loved you. I loved you more than I have ever loved anyone, and I hope you can forgive me. I read the letter 100 times, each time feeling the weight of his words. My father had been a guardian of a legacy that had been built on secrets, but he had also been a man who had loved me in his own broken way. And I realized that the revenge was not about punishing the guilty, it was about healing the wounded. And in healing myself, I had healed him too. The story of Alexander Sterling became a legend, a cautionary tale about the cost of secrets and the power of redemption. But for me, it was something simpler, a beginning I had never thought I deserved, and a future I would build with my own hands, one truth at a time. The empire was gone, the fortune was gone, the family was gone, but I was still here. And that, in the end, was the most powerful revenge of all. I died in my sleep at the age of 87, surrounded by the love of a family that had nothing to do with the legacy I had left behind. The invisible empire was gone, the consciousness was gone, the secrets were buried, but the lesson remained. That revenge is a prison, and the only way to escape is to forgive. The invisible bankruptcy empire had been a curse, but it had also been a gift of clarity, of purpose, of the chance to choose a different path, and I had chosen wisely. The revenge was complete, not because I had destroyed my enemies, because I had saved myself. And in saving myself, I had become the hero of my own story. The hero who had broken the cycle, ended the war, and found the peace that had always been within his reach. I was free. Truly, completely, utterly free.